SPARQL 1.1 is the latest version of the SPARQL standards, and it's approaching its final stage of standardization now. It's about 5 years since the first version of the SPARQL standard came out, and SPARQL 1.1 aims to address a lot of the perceived deficiencies and missing features that weren't placed in the original version of the specification. So one of the biggest changes is SPARQL 1.0 was completely read-only. So you could ask queries, but there was no way to, so you could see what your existing data was, but there was no way to change your data. So one of the biggest changes in SPARQL 1.1 standardizes an update language. So you can now not only ask questions of your data, you can also now update your data on the fly. And you can even sort of combine the two together to some extent. You can say, find me data that matches some pattern and change my data based on what I find. So the second big change is they really expanded the analytics capabilities. So for people coming from sort of SQL to SPARQL, in 1.0 there were a lot of things they kind of expected in the language that were missing. So there was no ability to do grouping, no ability to do simple aggregates like count the number of results, sum up some column, average another column, all those kind of things that people who came from the sort of the traditional database world really expected. So that was one of the big things they really tried to add into SPARQL 1.1. So you have group by, you have having, so you can not just create groups, but you can filter only the groups that meet certain criteria, and then you can calculate aggregates over these groups, what's the counts, what's the sum, what's the average. And they even went beyond what SQL can do they used the existing SPARQL extension function feature to say that you can also define extended aggregates. So you can define, say, a median function or a mode function if that's what solves your problem. One of the problems in SPARQL 1.0 was that there was no notion of subquery. So if you had a particularly complex query, often what you had to do was ask a query to get some initial data, wait for it to come back from the database, and then ask a sequence of additional queries in order to build up your final answer. From a performance standpoint, this was really awful in most cases. So SPARQL 1.1 adds subqueries to the language. So you can now do all that you used to do in this code in a single query and just process the results, which is what you wanted to do in the first place anyway. I'm Vesse, I'm a software engineer at YarcData, and this has been a Eureka Moment.